Wait. Don't scroll. What if I told you? A city with walls no army could break was defeated without a single weapon. No swords, no ladders, no battle cries. Just silence and a strange command from God. Stay with me, because what happened at Jericho will challenge everything you think you know about faith. After years of wandering, after pain, loss, and waiting, the children of Israel finally stood at the edge of a promise. The land God had sworn to give them was right in front of them, but there was something standing in the way. Jericho, a city sealed shut, with massive walls rising high into the sky. Walls so thick no army could break through. No one went in, no one came out. It wasn't just a city, it was a barrier between them and everything God had promised. Inside Jericho, fear had already arrived. Before Israel ever did, the people had heard the stories of a God who parted the Red Sea, who destroyed mighty armies, who fed his people in the wilderness. And now, those same people were outside their gates, watching, waiting. One night, Joshua stepped away from the camp, the weight of leadership heavy on him. He needed direction, he needed assurance. Then suddenly, he saw a man standing before him, a sword drawn. Ready. Joshua asked, "Are you for us, or for our enemies?" And the answer came, "Neither, but as commander of the Lord's army, I have now come." In that moment, Joshua understood. This was no ordinary man, this was a divine encounter, and he fell to his face in reverence, because he realized this battle did not belong to him. Then came the instruction, and it didn't sound like a battle plan. March around the city once a day, for 6 days, no attack, no weapons, no shouting. Just walking. And on the 7th day, march around the city 7 times, then shout. That was it. No strategy. Just obedience. Day 1 began. The people moved in silence. The priests carried the Ark of the Covenant. Trumpets sounded, but the people said nothing, not a word. They walked around the city, then returned to camp. No fight, no change. Just silence. From the top of the walls, the people of Jericho watched. Confused. Then amused. Laughter broke out. Is this their army? Are they too afraid to fight? Day after day, the same thing happened. They marched. They stayed silent. They left. To Jericho. It looked like foolishness, but what they didn't understand was that God was working. In the silence, 6 days passed, 6 days of obedience, 6 days of seeing nothing. No cracks in the wall. No sign of victory. Just repetition. And this is where most people would give up, because faith becomes difficult when nothing seems to be happening, when your prayers feel unanswered, when your effort shows no results. But they kept going. Then came the 7th day. Something felt different. The air was heavier. Expectation filled every step. They didn't march once, they marched 7 times. Around and around the city. Again and again and again. Each step building tension, each moment drawing closer to something unseen. Then Joshua raised his hand and gave the command, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city." And suddenly, after days of silence, a sound erupted, a shout of faith, a roar of obedience, a declaration of trust in God. And then, the impossible happened. The ground began to shake. The walls of Jericho started to tremble, cracks spread across the stone, dust filled the air. And then they collapsed, massive walls, falling flat. Not by strength, not by weapons, but by the power of God. The barrier was gone. The impossible became possible. The promise was now within reach. The city that looked untouchable fell in a moment. Because when God fights for you, you don't need to understand the method, you just need to obey. And this story is not just about Jericho. It's about you. Because in your life, there are walls too. Walls of fear, walls of delay, walls of doubt, walls that look impossible to break. And sometimes, God will ask you to do things that don't make sense. To keep going. When you see no results. To stay faithful. When nothing is changing. To trust Him. When you don't understand. But hear this. Just because nothing is happening doesn't mean God is not working. Your first day may look like your 6th, but the 7th day is coming. And when it comes, everything can change in a moment. So don't stop, don't quit, don't lose faith in the silence, because the same God who brought down the walls of Jericho is still working today. If you believe that, type "My walls are falling" and hold on. Your breakthrough. You might be closer than you think.